Hello, good evening, and welcome to our trade recap on the day. We'll jump into the markets here in just a minute, and we'll take a look at our accounts as well. Good day for us on the day. Fantastic day in the trading accounts. Excited to get into that. It is Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. So let's take a look in what happened today. And pretty interesting end to the day. Let's actually jump in and take a look at the markets real quick. On the day here, you could see that we opened this morning and just lollygagged around flat, 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 all the way till about, I don't know, 2 o'clock. Then we started to sell off a bit till about, what, 3:30? Then at 3:30, we just rocketed it up. So the market's just jacked way up, went from really about 49.65 all the way to over 5,000, almost 5,020 to the top here. So almost a 50-point rise at the end of the day to finish up on the session. Markets are, again, just barely positive. So if you really just looked at the SPX today, you'd see, let me jump off the screen so you guys can see a little bit better. But man, if you weren't paying attention to the day, you'd think, all right, you know what, we're up 6 points on the day, no big deal, right? But really, you had a monstrous swing towards the end of the day here on ES. If we take a look just at SPY on the session, again, same thing. When we opened the day today, right around here, boy, gap down, sideways, drifting lower, and then boom, just jammed way up here the last hour and a half of the session. So big up day at the end of the day, and you could see that reflected in most of the underlyings as well. So just a huge rally to end the day. Somebody knows something somewhere. Maybe it was a little NVDA there. So if we take a look at NVIDIA, it wasn't NVIDIA, because NVIDIA had just sold off on the day itself and was down 20 points. So NVIDIA, while it did have a bit of a rally from 65 to 74, that's not really a big rally at the end of the day. Overall, NVIDIA was down almost 3% on the session. So it wasn't, now there was a bounce here, but it wasn't NVIDIA. If we look at what else on the day, a little bit of a rally towards the end on Tesla. Google, pretty good little rally at the end of the day. Meta, good bounce towards the end of the day, even though it was down, it was low on the day. Amazon rallied at the end of the day, but most of these guys finished flat. So most stocks were flat on the day to slightly down, even though they rallied into the close. So pretty interesting end to the day on the indexes. So it's something to keep an eye on. We'll see if we finish that tomorrow. But overall, let's jump into the daily, weekly, and we'll keep it simple for everybody here on what we're doing. If we're taking a look at the weekly charts, still a bit of an uptrend here on the weekly, and still a uptrend here on the daily. Now, you do have a bit of a sideways move on the day, and we are tipping over a bit. So we were starting to tip over a bit on the US dollar. I don't know why we jumped to the dollar, but dollar's been in an uptrend and sideways. Maybe we'll get some bounce off of the 21, but dollar's been a little bit weak. If we're taking a look at SPY itself, pretty much looks like the dollar, but SPY has been moving higher here on the session, and today, as we extend this trend line out, that we've bounced off of. We're holding on to that trend line, bounced off the 21 today and moved higher. So we had a nice bounce right off the 21 moving average intraday at our lows, and then we rallied much higher on the session. But you still have MACD, RSI squeeze heading lower, and the weekly looks to be tipping over. So does the end of the day today matter? I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then the Qs, pretty much the same thing, but they managed to break the 21 and didn't get back to it. At the end of the day, still negative, falling down. So we'll see what happens here, but otherwise, maybe we'll get a little bit of a bounce off of NVIDIA's earnings tomorrow. It's up in the after hours today decently. They beat on the top and bottom line. but frankly, I don't really care. I don't really think it has a whole lot to do with anything. Maybe you get a short-term bounce, but it's a seasonally weak trading week, and the markets just don't look good up here. Any kind of a bounce here to me would be even a little bit more suspect right now. But do we bounce right off the 21s? That's what we got to keep an eye on. Was this a big enough pullback on the daily? Maybe. On the weekly, definitely not. But maybe it's a decent enough pullback to make the next leg higher. We'll see. Well, we certainly don't have momentum on our side for the overall market. If we take a look again, ES, nothing exciting here, but you are seeing everything tipping over in the more recent couple bars here. Taking a look at oil today, oil had a nice day today, continues to improve itself on the weekly chart, continues to just trend sideways to positive on the daily chart. RSI starting to move higher a bit more. You got squeeze moving higher just a bit more, bouncing off the 21 today, and then heading its way higher here as well. I still like oil. I think if we're going to trade something, anything that's a strangle in here to me is good, and a 112 would be good. If we take a look at gold, it's been in a bit of a weekly downtrend now for a couple months in a descending triangle here. We'll see what happens. A recent bounce here, MACD, RSI, all heading higher. Good bounce, and continuing that through today's session. So good move today above the 21 EMA. Looks decent on a daily, but this could just be another bounce inside of this descending wedge. So if this descending triangle gets broken to the downside, which it has not, it's held, then we'll look at something. But right now, I think this is a good strangle opportunity trade. If we look at bonds on the session, what did bonds really do on the day? Overall, bonds still pretty weak. Weekly downtrend, rolling down, all the indicators down on the weekly, all the indicators pretty much negative on the daily. So bonds heading lower, not oversold yet, but I do like where bonds are. I think we can still hold one of these two fib levels in here, and you get the 3 ATR. So I think there's some opportunities here for us to find some support. I don't think bonds are going all the way back to the lows of last year. All right, and I'm going to be putting my money on that because we're selling strangles on that when we're doing really well. Copper continues to improve. Copper, another fantastic update today. I'm going to extend this line out a couple more days. Copper moving up inside of this trading range that it's been in for quite some time. We'll extend this out a bit more. And just watching copper here as it moves higher. Good MACD, RSI, squeeze reversing higher. Good momentum to the upside on copper. And you got that momentum reversing itself and starting to head higher. Do we see copper breaking out in here? I don't know, but the ATR is opening up, bullish everything right now. MACDs heading higher, but also the moving averages. You get the 9 now crossing above everything, and with another decent day tomorrow, unless it craters, you'll probably see the 21 cross the 50. If that happens tomorrow, most likely you'll have all the moving averages stacked on the daily. So copper looks pretty solid. I would continue to look at, we've got strangles running here, which I think are fine. But I also think 112 trades on copper here would be a good opportunity. NASDAQ, we already talked about this. Holding on here at the 21 EMA on the futures. Okay, and then if we're looking at any of the other ones today, just some more weakness in the Russell. So the Russell heading lower on the day today, 3 straight down sessions as we're struggling to get any momentum moving on the Russell. It just can't really get the breakout that it needs here to propel it way higher. And if the markets really improve tomorrow on the backs of the NVDA earnings, Then we'll see what happens. Again, NVIDIA, one stock. It's not even one of the highest weighted. But if everything else moves up because of it, then if you get Microsoft and Apple moving up, Amazon, Meta, Google, the rest of the team, if they all start moving higher, then maybe we get a little bit of a pop in the next day or two. But I still don't see a lot of big strength, but we could move higher. Anyways, there's the markets. It is what it is. For me, it's a nothing burger. I could care less what NVIDIA does. None of it matters. It really doesn't matter. I don't care where the market goes. I don't care where NVIDIA goes. None of that stuff is really important to our trading. I know in our Discord, we got everybody posting, all kinds of stuff on NVIDIA and earnings and where's the chart going. And I don't care. Okay? It's a lot of noise to me, and it doesn't really mean a lot. It's not going to change my trading style. I'm looking at the charts. I think oil moving higher. I think gold moving a little bit lower to sideways. I think bonds moving lower. I think copper moving higher. So there you go. You got some trade opportunities. Whether NVIDIA was good or not didn't really matter. We're still in an uptrend on the S&P. If we get a little bit of a pop and a bounce off to 21, great. Doesn't really affect anything that we're doing. All right, so let's take a look at here. Don't get caught up in all of the noise on individual stocks. All right, so maybe we'll get a pop, maybe we won't, who cares? Delta today moved up to 161, so our Delta popped a bit. In fact, in after hours right now, it's showing a little bit of a little bit lower, so I'm not sure. Tasty's all over the place. I mean, their numbers are just everywhere. It looks like 128 now. So we'll use the 128. 1239 is pretty much right where it is now. So our theta has been moving up slowly every day for 3 straight days. We're back to about 0.3% theta, even though on the VIX today, we sold off a tad. So I had a little bit of weakness in the VIX. It had bounced earlier and then was weak on the day. Volatility still up a fraction, but still at 15 on the VIX. This is not much of anything. It's pretty dead. Netlick jumped again today, 433, 164, yet another new all-time high. We just keep pounding new all-time highs in this account. We are now up almost 10% year to date, while the S&P is up 5.2%. So we're now doubling the S&P's return. So we're doubling what the market is doing as a whole right now. So I love what we're doing. Could care less what anything else is doing or the S&P, but we'll benchmark it here just a fraction. And we've closed almost 8% in realized gains so far. Our buying power moved up to about 53% when we exclude the Bill ETF. And that's mainly because we put on a very large tranche of a long-term 112 on ES. So that added quite a bit of buying power to what we're doing today. We're starting to size up because the portfolio is increasing its size as well. So because of that, we'll see a little bit of a bump here, but we'll close some things off. We did close a little bit of a trade today. What I did was I took some calls off of a 2112 strangle in gold. So I took the call side off at 70. It was 75-ish%. I think, but really ended up at 73.3, as close as I could get to that. So we took the calls off for a 75% winner according to our plan. We took the naked calls off on this, $440 to the good here. So adding to our realized gains for the month, we're now up $9,000, over 2%. On the month as we continue to climb and watching those work their way higher. So that's a gold, technically a 112. I'm not sure if I classified that as a spec trade or not in gold. I'm not sure where that trade is right here. So this is a 2112 strangle trade. I'm not even sure I want to track that anywhere. I might just track this as a spec trade because it's a little bit more unusual than anything else. In fact, this gold, I will track this piece here, the gold PDS. So I will call the PDS part of it, we'll keep that the same. And then the strangle part of it, this is a gold strangle overall. we'll leave that as a strangle. Okay, so it's just an interesting trade, a little bit of a mixture of things. I'm going to put a gold. I don't know what the best one here is, but I think we'll just call this a 112. All right, so we've got a 112 PDS, and then we've got a strangle here that we're going to manage separately. In fact, let's change it from that to a gold strangle. And we'll change the closed trade to a gold strangle as well. All right, perfect. So that'll give us a little bit of income there, and we're even. So the kind of hybrid trade that we put on, we'll take it off in pieces. We've already made $440 on this trade, and the rest of the trades now really just a standard 112 trade. And then we've got plenty of other trades working. We're really well balanced. We showed that last night, so I'm not going to keep hammering on that. If we want to take a look at the IRA as well today, we haven't closed anything in a while. I think we're getting close to pulling off some 112s in the IRA. If I take a quick look at where the IRA is, we've got a March long-term 112. We will be closing that any day now. It's at 94% on the naked puts. So we'll probably close those shortly on that one. And we're getting closer on the other March, but right now we'll probably close one, probably tomorrow or the next day, but most likely this week we'll be adding to this. But either way, we've hit yet another new all-time high. We're up a little bit over 2% on the year to date on the net lick. Our goal is 1.5% a month. So I'd like to get this up to 3% if we can on the IRAs. So we'll see where we go. But we have a new all-time high here. And let's look at the small account. Same thing here. Small account, this one still got a 3% a year monthly. We are up a little over 3% in realized. We're up over 3% in net lick on this account. So we're doing just fine. We may get some other things closed in the next week or so. So we'll be adding to that. So overall, we're looking pretty good on all the accounts. Everything's up. Everything's positive. We're really seeing some pretty good gains. Strangles have just been paying off like crazy as this market tries to figure out which way it's going. And I think we've got some good ideas, but right now we're at our max buying power. So there's nothing to add here right now until a few things come off and our buying power drops back below 50. So we'll let buying power dictate what we're going to do, and then we'll let our theta, not going to dictate anything, but we're going to want to get more theta on. But as premium sellers, that's all we do. So really don't have to look at this to know that no matter what, when buying power says go, I'm putting on something that's going to generate theta for the most part. Okay, so theta doesn't drive me. Okay? Buying power drives our decision making. Theta is just to give me a sense of, are we where we should be? And I think where we are compared to the volatility is in pretty good shape. And then delta, I'd love to keep where we are. And one of the reasons we have really, really good delta right now is we do have short calls on. So we do have naked calls, which are doing really, really well. Those are up 25 and 33% respectively in about 14 days. So even if the market moves up, we'll see what happens. But overall, I like our naked calls. We've got several hedges on right now. Those hedges are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not only reducing buying power, but they're giving us downside protection. And then we've also got 2 long puts on from leftovers from 112 trades that we've closed the naked puts already. So we've got really 4 different tranches of long puts on in different expirations. And then we've got, including the hedges, we've got our PDSs on, we've got short calls on in ES. That's all keeping our buying power reasonable here. We're doing really, really well. And we can give up a little bit for those hedges as we go. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, we're really well diversified. ES is back in the lead with a big 112 long-term trade that went on today as we size up and scale up. So that's the first of the new size, and that'll be a lot larger trade for us. So overall, really great stuff. I think this is where we want to be. So other than that, we're going to let you guys go for the evening. Again, if you like the video, click the like button below, join the community here on YouTube. You can join the Discord community. Let's see what happens tomorrow with the open. Right now, you've got futures up decently, rallied towards the end of the day. Will they continue to rally tomorrow? Maybe. You only have a 50-50 chance every day of the market going up or down. Okay. There's no reason that the market should go up. There's no reason it should go down. Okay. Or there's 100 reasons it can go up and 100 reasons it could go down. It's still a 50-50 shot. What we do is play the percentages and we stick to our strategies here and we stick to our trade plan. And that's what all we can do. All right. You guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.